No love lost between these two guys or their teams. It's Piazza Clemens round 2, Yanks Mets game 2. Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Floyd.
And I'm Natalie Martinez. First on Fox tonight, the Yankees take a big step toward a possible third straight World Series title. Earlier this year, Roger Clemens beamed Mike Piazza. Tonight, he threw a broken bat in his direction. The bench is cleared, but no fight. No fight in the Mets for 8 innings either, then down 6-2 in the 9th. This 3-run homer by Jay Payton makes it 6-5, but that's the way it ended. Mets lose to the Yanks 6-5. More on the game itself later. Our Rich Becker will join us live from Yankee Stadium.
It was another big night for Yankees pitchers until that 9th inning, and that means a big night for one of the Capital Region's own. Acting Yankees pitching coach Billy Connors of Schenectady. Connors, who in his day played for both the Yankees and the Mets, is now part of the first Subway Series in 44 years. Rich Becker with his story.
Yankee fans were thrilled to get Billy Connors' autograph. Little did the young ones know when the Yankee pitching coach was their age, he already had a world championship.
It was 1953 and 54, but 54 we won in Williamsport, but this is a great thrill, especially playing the Mets in a crosstown rivalry. This is what it's all about.
And while it is all about the Yankees and Mets now, 1954 was all about Schenectady Little League. At 12 years old, Billy Connors' Field of Dreams was here and in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
That was pretty obvious. There's quite a bit of a difference between Yankee Stadium and Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and 44 years is a long time. But Billy Connors hasn't forgot that first World Series championship, and he doesn't let the Yankees forget about it either.
I know he brags about that stuff once in a while, and I think Billy loves baseball, and that's what it corrects us. He's one of those people that wants to be at the field every time, and I think he really enjoys this time of the year.
Connors' role with the Yankees has been magnified by Mel Stottlemyre's departure to battle cancer. The Yankee pitching staff hasn't missed a beat. Connors says give a lot of that credit to what he remembers from the old days.
Well, we learned an awful lot. Mike Piazza was our manager, and he taught us as kids to be tough out there and taught us the game of baseball, and I owe everything to him. And it's just a repercussion of what he taught us. It's coming and playing the big leagues, coaching the big leagues.
But which series takes the ultimate prize?
World Series Little League, World Series Major League Baseball, which means more?
Well, the Little League was unbelievable when we were there, but the World Series and Major Leagues is what it's all about.
Especially if it brings another championship. At the World Series in New York, Rich Becker, Fox 23 News.
Another local boy who makes it big, Mets relief pitcher Turk Wendell. His family from the Berkshires glued to the TV for Wendell's first ever World Series appearance. Last night, he was in there for the 12th inning. He gave up the winning run in a devastating loss. His sister, who will see him play at Shea Stadium on Wednesday, says Wendell was in good spirits today and has not lost the faith.
The whole team knows that it wasn't just him. You know, there was a series of things that led up to, that last inning and then losing. But it was just a tough game. One run.
Now, some people who couldn't make the trip to the Bronx today took a trip back in time instead. They headed to a place with no subways, but lots of baseball, the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Fox 23's Carrie Rowlands has that story.
Flashback to 1956. All eyes on New York. The Dodgers and the Yankees go head-to-head. The Yankees come out the champions. Don Larson memorialized in Cooperstown, pitching the only perfect game in World Series history.
The last Subway Series, I was only about 9 years old, so I don't really remember it.
A history lesson for fans of the Baseball Hall of Fame as the first Subway Series in 44 years plays out in New York City. The Mets and the Yankees making their city and their fans proud.
It's great to have both teams in the city playing.
The city is where it's at, but tickets to the big game hard to come by. Frank Asta, Jr. and Senior say they'll watch from Cooperstown.
Yeah, well, the price of the tickets were very, cost-worthy. As opposed to down in New York, they're getting about, $2,000, $3,000.
Luck was with these guys. Finding tickets on the internet for $50 each made it worth the flight in from San Diego for Game 1. Yankee Stadium last night, Cooperstown today.
When you think of World Series, think of New York Yankees. I thought, what better place to go see a World Series game, last one for the next 1,000 years, than being in New York City and being at Yankee Stadium to watch the game.
With the series just starting, some still hoping.
One of those, my girlfriend's friend's dad's brother has season tickets, and can I bum some off him?
Others content to watch from their living room by night, visiting Cooperstown by day.
I'm rooting for the Mets, Yankees.
Outside the museum, the streets of Cooperstown may not have the energy of New York City, but they have charm, and you can still pick up a few souvenirs.
Hoping for a long shot, another Subway Series next year. In Cooperstown, Carrie Rowlands, Fox 23 News.
The Bishop of the Albany Diocese even admitting he too is a fan, but of which team? We caught up with Bishop Howard Hubbard before he left for a pilgrimage to Rome, Italy. Even though he'll be overseas, he says he hopes to find a way to keep tabs on the Mets. He says the Yankees don't have a prayer.
As a dyed-in-the-wool Mets fan, I know they're going to triumph. I'm hoping that I might be able to catch the last game. Plus, they tell me in the hotel over there you get CNN, so I'll at least be able to keep track of the score.
Don't worry, Yankees fans. We have no confirmation that he contacted a higher authority on his winning team.
Well, a lot of folks praying for another nice day after such a great weekend. Here's meteorologist Noah Francis, the man with the Fox First forecast. Hi, Noah.
Hi there, Greg. Yeah, it was a little bit nippy outside this evening, but you got to love all the sunshine today. And hey, some good news. It will stay dry through Thursday, and temperatures will moderate. It looks like a pretty pleasant week coming up. Here's a look at your current temps. 41 in Albany, 34 Glens Falls. Further north, 27 in Saranac Lake and Watertown right now. So some of the areas tonight will be rather chilly. Big area of high pressure over the northeast, not a cloud in the sky, and temperatures will be dropping off during the overnight. So cold temperatures, 28 for a low in Albany, even cooler up north. And for tomorrow, sunny and pleasant. We'll make it up to a high of right around 58 degrees. And then it looks like we're back up into the 60s for much of next week. The full details coming up in just a few moments.
An accident in the town of Claverack leaves one person dead. State police say 63-year-old Anita Chamberlain of Chatham was killed when she lost control of her car and drove off Route 9 this afternoon.
The car rolled over and the operator was ejected and pinned under the car, and the car had to be winched off of her.
That accident on Route 9N. Chamberlain was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say she was not wearing a seatbelt.
Police have now released the name of the local woman killed in a car crash yesterday in Lanesboro, Massachusetts. The victim, Beverly Polaro of Lanesboro. Her car hit by a car driven by Gary Burson of New Jersey. Police say Burson crossed the center line. He has been charged with vehicular homicide.
A stabbing in Albany sends one person to the hospital and leaves another badly injured. It happened early this morning on Phillips Street. This man here, Sam Kirkfield, says he got in a scuffle with his girlfriend's father. He says they began arguing in the basement of this house after a few drinks. In a struggle, Kirkfield says his girlfriend got stabbed and her father somehow fell onto the knife. No charges have been filed.
Well, here's a sign in the Political Times. U.S. Senate campaign signs across the Capital Region and New York State are now disappearing from front lawns, in some cases as fast as homeowners can put them up. A spokeswoman for Republican Senate candidate Rick Lazio says she's not surprised given the attention the race is getting. The signs for Lazio and Hillary Clinton are apparently becoming a valuable commodity. The internet site eBay is already getting $15 bids for the signs, which are normally given away for free.
Coming up on Fox News, 110 million reasons to get out and buy a ticket.
The biggest lottery jackpot in state history after this.
Fox News, brought to you by Cellular One.
It's the only ticket in town hotter than a Subway Series ticket.
We're looking at a record New York lottery jackpot. There was no winner in last night's $90 million Millennium Millions drawing. That means a carryover to next Saturday and a jackpot that now totals $110 million. If that sounds like a lot, it is. There has never been a bigger lottery jackpot in this state. Topping national news tonight, police still trying to figure out just what happened after 5 bodies are found in one home in suburban Tampa. The victims' bodies, 3 women, a man, and a 12-year-old child, were discovered after an armed standoff yesterday. The suspect, who allegedly held police at bay, is in custody but still has not been charged with the killings, in part because police are still trying to unravel the wild chain of events.
An annual biker bash in Florida turns deadly. 3 motorcyclists have died during Biketoberfest. It's an event that attracts more than 75,000 bike enthusiasts to Daytona. One of the 3 victims is a former Alabama state representative who was killed when his Harley hit a pickup truck. Police say that biker was not wearing a helmet.
And overseas to world news, violence in the Middle East claims 4 more lives. One of the dead, a 14-year-old boy. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak is declaring a timeout to reevaluate the Mideast peace process in light of recent events. He says Israel will continue to pursue peace, but did not say how long the timeout would last. The death toll in 3 weeks of fighting is 120 people, most of the victims Palestinians.
Game 2 of the World Series is in the book. Rich Becker live outside Yankee Stadium. The Yankees are the victors. A very interesting way they got it done tonight. We'll have all the highlights for you live from Yankee Stadium next in Fox 23 Sports.
Fox Weather, brought to you by the new Team Goey Dodge of Latham.
You know, it's not often that a big event lives up to the hype surrounding it, but the first Subway Series in nearly 44 years is the real deal. Game 1 going 12 innings to decide that outcome of that one. And tonight's Game 2, every bit as exciting. Fox 23's Rich Becker is in the Bronx and standing by live with the details. Rich?
Yeah, Shawn, no way this one could lack for any, or it could have any more drama. You can't pack much more into 9 innings. You got a near WWF-like situation. Vince McMahon would have loved it to start the game off tonight. Then you got a 5-run 9th inning, much of it off Mr. Untouchable Mariano Rivera. I mean, how much more can you pack into 9 innings? Yankee fans don't care because the Yankees won it again tonight. But let's take a look at the highlights tonight. Roger Clemens getting himself psyched up by paying Babe Ruth a visit out in Monument Park. First inning, the anticipated Roger Clemens-Mike Piazza matchup. First time since July 8th beating. Clemens saws him off, but look what happens. Yeah, he throws the bat at Mike Piazza. Well, over near him. Clemens said he thought it was the ball. Bat, ball, I think you could probably tell the difference, especially with the way Roger Clemens pitched tonight. The Yankees backed up their pitcher, though. 2 runs in the first inning. Then a 98 MVP Scott Brocious with a bomb to left field. A solo home run to make it 3-0 Yankees. Yankees and Clemens dominated till the 9th. Jeff Nelson replacing the Rocket. Mike Piazza gets his due. A home run up off the foul pole. 2-run homer. 6-2 Mets on the comeback. 2 out now. Mariano Rivera in. And Jay Payton does it the other way. A 3-run homer. Can you believe this? The Mets closing to 6-5 with 2 outs, but Rivera getting it done. Kurt Abbott, the strikeout to end it. Mariano Rivera gets the save. The Yankees get the win. They lead the series 2-0. But of course, you know the topic in the tabloids tomorrow is going to be Roger versus Mike.
I just threw the broken bat in the head once it got to me this way, and I told Charlie, the umpire, that I didn't know Mike was coming out. I didn't think he was running because of foul ball, and I was going to sling it to our deck circle towards the bat boy. And I guess it came close to him, and that's what happened. But
slowly jogging down the line because, again, I really was I had no idea where the ball was. And then, again, when he threw the bat, I basically, after that, just walked out to see what his problem was.
Jeez, you got to wonder what's going on between these guys, Piazza and Clemens. 14th straight win for the Yankees, 56,059 fans on hand to see it. We'll shift now to Flushing, the Queen, Shea Stadium, the site of Game 3. Pre-game 7:30 on Tuesday night. It'll be El Duque, Orlando Hernandez versus Rick Reed in the all-important Game 3 now for the Mets as the Yankees lead this series 2-0. We're live outside Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Rich Becker, Fox 23 Sports.
Hey, Rich, do you kind of get the feeling that if the Mets hadn't have made that run there in the 9th inning, that maybe this might have even turned into a sweep for the Yankees? I mean, and it still can, but obviously the Mets have got to take a little bit of something from that last inning.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I haven't heard from Bobby Valentine yet, but I got to think he really likes what he saw from his team tonight. They came back in the 9th inning, and when they could have just rolled over and died against Jeff Nelson, who pitched well last night, and against Mariano Rivera, who pitches well every World Series game, they didn't do that. It's going to be very interesting what happens the early innings of Game 3 at Shea. We'll tell the story as to where this series is headed.
All right, moving on. Some other sports in action now. Local runner Zach Iannone is moving up the world marathon ladder in a hurry. He went to Chicago this weekend, only having run 26 miles a couple of times competitively, and ended up one of the top Americans in the field. The Averill Park grad arrived back home tonight after finishing 39th out of 33,000 entries. The 22nd American across the stripe, if you're counting, running the course in 2 hours, 29 minutes and 18 seconds. That's an average of 5 minutes and 41 seconds per mile over 26 miles, making him the first Capital Region resident to break 2.5 hours in 8 years. Not bad considering he suffers from acute asthma.
I had some setbacks as far as exercise-induced asthma and some illnesses and non-running related injuries. And, you know, it's taken some time, about 2 years now, going through all that since Boston in '98. And, you know, we're finally back on track.
The Giants are taking a breather this weekend to let some of their bumps and bruises heal. New York quietly off to a monster start at 5-2. They'll be in action next Sunday against Philadelphia. Now, Doug Flutie getting the start for the Bills today at Minnesota and doing what he does best early. Hooks up right here with Eric Moulds in the far corner right there to give the Bills a 7-3 lead. Buffalo still on top, and adding to that in the fourth, finds Sammy Morris right here across the middle, and he does the rest. 18 yards worth of touchdown. 24-13 Bills late, but the Vikes take over in the final minutes. Dante Culpepper airing it out right here for Randy Moss. 39 yards later, it's a touchdown, putting Minnesota up by 1. Gary Anderson would add a late field goal to become the NFL's all-time leading scorer, and perhaps as importantly, the Vikes remain undefeated, beating Buffalo 31-27. Elsewhere in the NFL, Dallas busts out with 48 points as they beat Arizona. Tennessee doubling up Baltimore. Carolina doing much the same to San Francisco. Kansas City gives St. Louis their first loss by 20, and Philadelphia in the baseball score right there, 13-9 as they beat the Bears. Well, the Bengals' Corey Dillon set a single-game rushing record this afternoon, racking up a staggering 278 yards against the Denver Broncos, breaking the old mark set by Walter Payton as the Bengals beat the Bronx 31-21. The Patriots taking out the Colts at the Hoosier Dome this afternoon, and he's having a little trouble right there as Bledsoe and company would not, though, on offense. A monster start to dump off of J.R. Redmond, but it turns into a lot more. Redmond scores 19 yards out, putting the Pats up 7-zip. But Peyton Manning and the Colts chipping away. Down by 10. Manning up top to former Syracuse standout Marvin Harrison. 78 yards later, we got a touchdown, cutting the New England lead down to just 3. Indy takes the lead late. Egwin James bum rushes the end zone from a couple of yards out. Colts go up 27-23 and hang on for the 30-23 victory. Around the NFL today, New Orleans beats Atlanta by 2. Cincinnati, as I said, doing it to Denver by 10. Oakland all over Seattle. Pittsburgh shuts out Cleveland, and Washington doing it to Jacksonville. 35-16 is the final end of that one. Hockey now. Colorado Avalanche goalie Patrick Waugh was arrested early this morning on investigation of domestic violence charges. He was released on $750 bail only days after setting the NHL career record for saves Friday night against Washington. Now, the Rangers in action tonight, taking on Tampa Bay. Second period. Tampa up 1-0, but not for too long. Rangers with the good puck movement right here. Mark Messier to Brian Leetch, who scores, tying things at 1 apiece. Third period, and the Rangers down 3-1 now, but with a 2-man advantage. Theo Fleury, the little guy in the slot, blows it past Kevin Weeks for the easy goal, cutting the Lightning lead to 3-2, but that's about as close as they get. Tampa Bay goes on to double up the Rangers tonight by 4-2 final score. Elsewhere of interest tonight, Detroit doubling up Columbus 2-1. In overtime, the Rats on the road at Wilkes-Barre, 7-0, and that's not a misprint, 7-0. The River Rats are shut out, a record 6th consecutive loss for Albany. Auto racing now. Michael Schumacher made a clean sweep of the F1 Drivers and Constructors Championship this morning, taking the Malaysian Grand Prix, and Chuck McKee took home the checkers at the last dirt race of the year at Orange County Speedway. Meanwhile, the Winston Cup boys at the Rock for the Pop Secret 400, where most of the excitement on the day was in the pits, but not the kind Matt Kenseth crew wanted. A fire in the pits there. Flames, smokes go high into the sky. The accident luckily looking worse than it actually was, but a couple of Kenseth's crew members were hurt, not seriously, however. Defending Winston Cup champion Dale Jarrett left the rest of the field hurting. Jarrett leading the last 43 laps of the event to take home his first ever win at Rockingham. We'll have reaction from Jarrett as well, and much more on Fox 23 Fast Track following the news. Tiger Woods helped finish off the world team in today's President's Cup down in Virginia, beating Vijay Singh 3-2 to capture his first winning record in a team competition, interestingly enough. The win by the U.S. team Avengers, their beating down in Australia, called the Massacre at Melbourne a couple of years ago. I'm out of time. Now back over to the news desk.
Next on Fox, no need to head for cover anytime soon.
Noah's talking some pretty good weather. He's back with a full forecast right after this.
Fox Sports, brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, quality brand names for less.
Well, temperatures were a bit cool today, but I don't think anyone was complaining with all the sunshine, and we will stay dry, it looks like, right through Thursday. Temperatures will actually be moderating, too, later on during the work week. So some nice weather coming up. Clear skies, 42 degrees right now, a little bit chilly after the sun went down. Dew point at 31, 64% relative humidity, and the pressure is very high, 30.60 inches of mercury, continuing to rise. North winds at 6 miles per hour. High today 54, 5 degrees below normal after a morning low of 40. We're going to see some chilly temperatures tonight. Here's the currents, 41 in Albany right now, 34 in Glens Falls, and further up north it's even colder. Saranac Lake down to 27, Watertown 27 right now. So some of those outlying areas will be getting pretty close to the upper 20s over the next couple hours, and indeed most areas will drop into the 20s. So some chilly temperatures overnight and to start out the early morning hours tomorrow. But skies, again, pretty much clear out there with that massive area of high pressure building in from the north. As far as the rest of the country goes, a little bit stormy out west. Now we have this trough here, this trough of low pressure, bringing down some of that cooler air. Big cutoff low here over the Baja of California. A lot of rain out ahead of it, and some problems tonight with some pretty nasty weather in the plains. Some severe weather to report, even a few isolated tornadoes reported down here in parts of Oklahoma. So a little bit unsettled over the plains and into the southwest. That's about all that's going on around the country. Otherwise, things pretty quiet. Now we'll jump ahead to tomorrow. It'll stay mild over the south, and for us, we'll see temperatures moderate just a little bit, just a few degrees. We'll still be right around normal for this time of year. We'll call high temperatures in the 50s, and even cooler for our neighbors in New England, where they will see high temperatures in the low 50s. But here it is, that area of high pressure, cold weather overnight tonight as those lows drop off into the 20s. By tomorrow, high pressure will still be controlling our weather, so a nice day. Expect to see lots of sunshine out there, and as we skip ahead into Tuesday, we'll see this cold front start to drop down into the eastern lakes. So we'll see some clouds increasing. We'll call it a partly sunny day on Tuesday and a little bit milder. That's going to be the first day that we start to see temperatures get back into the 60s. And as far as your World Series forecast goes, games 3, 4, and if necessary, 5 and 6. The weather's still looking good all the way through game 5. Very pleasant temperatures to start the game, low to mid 60s. Could be a storm system affecting the northeast Friday and Saturday, so we could see a little bit of rain action in their game 6, again, if necessary. For tonight, it will be cold with low temperatures dropping down into the 20s, 28 for a low in Albany. Tomorrow, sunny and pleasant, a high temperature of 58 degrees. A great start to the work week. Here's your extended board starting with tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to stay dry. Some clouds mixed in with some sun in there, and look at those high temperatures. You know, you really can't beat this weather this time of the year. 64 on Tuesday, and we'll stay in the mid 60s right through Thursday. Folks, that's your next 4 days. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thank you, Noah. In People News tonight, you know Garth Brooks, the singing sensation.
But did you know he's a hero as well?
Said thank you very much and shook his hand.
That little boy, a big fan of the country star, nothing to do with his music. Brooks a hero tonight after rescuing 2 kids, neighbors of his, who were trapped in a fire. Little Ryan and his brother were home alone when a grass fire sparked flames in their home. Apparently, Brooks, who was driving by at the time, pounded on the door to alert the boys inside. Then he dragged them out shortly before the house went up in flames.
Coming up, who says movies aren't good for kids?
A dinosaur flick helped him decide what to do with his life. We'll explain after this.
Finally on Fox tonight, a lifelong love of dinosaurs takes a 10-year-old to an early start on his career.
Peter Thomas from Washington State has succeeded in making a 13-foot-long raptor. It took him about 5 months, but he managed to make it happen with a lot of cardboard and newspaper. Peter, who fell in love with the movie Jurassic Park at 4 years of age, says he got the idea to sculpt a raptor after he finished reading a book by dinosaur sculptor Steve Jerkis.
All right, we're just going to say goodnight because everybody was kind enough to stay up with us tonight.
Thank you very much for doing that. Fox 23 Fast Track is up next. Our next news tomorrow night, 6:30.
Good night.
Good night.